Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. What a wonderful, wet, rainy Friday afternoon. I think the only one place better to be than the studio talk today. Guess where that is? Rocking in your hammock under the almond tree. Well, I have a chance to share with you about good things that happen as we join our friends. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome and thank you so much for joining us. And to all of those who continue to volunteer heavily in our communities, to draw alongside, whether you're part of the Big Brothers, Big Sisters programs, or otherwise as mentors, well, know that you are in our thoughts and prayers, some of us more fondly than others. Well, I'm honored to be able to continue this partnership as we look at the Alliance to End Domestic Violence. And in the studio, we have none other than Senior Probation Officer, Mr. Nelly Ennis. Good afternoon, and thank you so much.
Good afternoon. Happy to be here.
All right, and thank you for coming dressed for radio.
Oh, why not?
I should wear my mask, so it may look better on radio. They say, he has a face for radio and a voice for TV. That's good.
So they say.
Wow, let's see if your colleague, Ms. Spencer, online. Good afternoon, Ms. Marisha.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Sterling. Good afternoon, Janelle. How are you all doing?
Good afternoon.
Oh, we are doing great. We're just about to consider what would be on the lunch menu. But now that you're here, we'll get to work instead.
Yes. I'm sorry I was not able to join you all in studio today.
No, quite understandable. And we certainly appreciate being able to leverage our technology to be able to invite you to join us. So in our hearts, you're right next to us, all right?
Yes.
All right. Well, maybe unless you want Spencer to start first, maybe we'll ask Ms. Ennis to sort of set the stage. Let's go to you since you're like the veteran amongst us, more comfortable.
Thank you for that compliment. I'm humbled. All right. So firstly, I want to say thank you, Mr. Sterling, for facilitating the Alliance to End Domestic Violence for the past few months through our monthly radio interview series. So it started in June and ended September, this 24th of September. So for each month, you featured one of the member agencies, so we're very much appreciative of that.
Most welcome.
And just to drag memories for maybe those of you who did not get a chance to tune into any of those interviews, so the Alliance to End Domestic Violence, who we are. We're basically developed through a multi-agency coordination of 7 agencies with the aim to provide a coordinated process for people impacted by domestic abuse. So we want to make it simpler, create a simpler process for them to end the cycle and to access support. And the member agencies for the Alliance, and I'm going to go ahead and list the members. So there is the Crisis Center, which is the chair of the Alliance. We have the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service. There is the Multi-Agency Safeguarding Hub. there's Gender Affairs Unit, there's also Department of Counseling Services, Department of Community Rehabilitation, and Department of Children and Family Services. And all these agencies, we have a mandate relating to supporting people who have experienced domestic abuse. So it was really fitting for us all to come together, trying to make that process simpler for victims. And really what we want to do is to impact change in the landscape of domestic violence in the Cayman Islands.
And I'm glad that we were able to partner, with you and the other member agencies, and hopefully as we have that discussion, we'll get to that space in our communities. But I'm saying this from that perspective, I think we're not quite there yet.
No.
So share with us, Mom.
It's definitely some ways to go, but I think us being in October and October being the Domestic Violence Awareness Month, I think it's a good place to continue with that platform and continue to share the knowledge with people. And that's one of the reasons why we're grateful to be here today, because we want to kick off the Domestic Violence Awareness Month being October to kind of continue to share that awareness and continue to talk about domestic violence and how it impacts homes, how it impacts families, and just continue to reach out into the community. When we think about how domestic violence and how it works, a lot of people may not necessarily have the knowledge or may not necessarily have the information. So it's important that we continue to push forward and continue to share as much as possible.
And I think, too, as I listened, over the last few months in particular, more intently and more attentively, it's really apparent that we are increasingly in spaces where sometimes we don't feel mentally or physically comfortable. That could lead to a lot of unsettled behavior. And for that person who may already have been in that untenable situation, this could only become worse for them.
Right, for sure. And that's the thing, too, that people don't have the avenues, don't know where to go to get the information. Sometimes, like you said, they are in situations and they are faced with situations that might cause more stress, and they lash out, and there's a power and control imbalance. So it's about making sure that they have the information, that victims have the resources, that there's avenues that are created that are clear and direct, and that they know exactly what they need to do to access that. And with Domestic Violence Awareness Month, this is basically coming out. This is a global perspective, so this is not just done here in Cayman. This is a global outreach that came out from a Day of Unity in 1981. So this is quite a ways coming. And so now in 1987, it became a whole month. So a month feature really of talking about domestic violence. So it's very good that we're here in Cayman and that we're able to continue that approach.
I think, Marisha, from your perspective, I mean, we look at it oftentimes and we don't really appreciate our impact, as unintentional as we may be, as a contributing factor to the violence within our homes, the impact on our spouses or children, the extended family, sometimes even, our fellow colleagues in the workplace. So with that in mind, Ms. Marisha, as we look at the month of October and we draw attention to it, what are some of the most significant things we should be highlighting?
All right. So thank you, Janelle, for giving clarity on the origin of Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Now, before I go into that response, Sterling, I want to just make known the theme for this Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So the theme is championing change through awareness, action, and support. And pretty much what this theme does is really to emphasize our commitment or dedication towards ending domestic violence in our society. And if you look at it, in more detail, you would realize that it is somewhat the formula. So in order to start the process or start the journey of eradicating domestic violence in our society, we first need to be aware. Without awareness, there can be absolutely no change. So we need to be aware, we need to know what domestic violence is. So having that level of awareness, we then move into the action phase of it. So now that you have this knowledge, what are you going to do with it? What actions can we take? Is it that we're going to review the legislations that are currently in place so that victims or survivors are better supported? Is it that you're going to choose to be a bystander, or you're going to, start holding abusers accountable. What is it that we are going to do? What is it that we can do as a society, as a community? And then now we move into the final phase, which is support. How do we support survivors? How do we empower others to help themselves? How do we empower those persons affected to end this cycle of violence? And before we're able to, put that into perspective and really to let it settle with us and to see the contributions that we as a whole, as a society, can make, then we are nowhere in the fight against DV. So we really have to, take a step back to really see what is it that we can do as a society towards ending this cycle of abuse.
Oh, so when we return from the break, let's just get into that, and maybe, as you said, revisit the definition. Maybe speak to some of the issues that we may commonly fail to appreciate, and maybe look at some of the aspects of DV as it is. For listeners, we have the opportunity to focus and draw our attention to the importance of working collaboratively to ensure that we end domestic violence. So please join us after the break.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office.
Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
Water Authority Cayman wishes to advise the motoring public that from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Sunday, 3rd October, the section of Shamrock Road between Hurst Road and the east entrance to Homestead Crescent will be closed in order to facilitate the installation of new water supply infrastructure in the area. At the intersection of Shamrock Road and Hurst Road, eastbound traffic will be diverted to Pedro Castle Road and Homestead Crescent. At the intersection of Shamrock Road and Homestead Crescent, westbound traffic will be diverted along Homestead Crest. During this time, local access only to businesses and residences in the area will be available, and flagmen will be on hand to direct local access traffic. Traffic signs will be posted in the general vicinity, and all motorists are asked to drive with caution to ensure their own safety as well as that of the Water Authority staff. The Water Authority appreciates the patience and understanding of its valuable customers as it upgrades its water infrastructure to better serve you and apologizes for any inconvenience this may cause.
You can now register to receive a securely verified digital copy of your COVID-19 vaccination status with QR code through the My HSA patient portal. Sign up is available at all HSA locations and at various sites throughout the community. To register, all you need is your photo ID showing date of birth and a valid email address. Visit hsa.ky and click My HSA Patient Portal for the sign-up schedule and more information.
The Department of Commerce and Investment is asking clients to use their online services at www.dci.gov.ky for trade and business amendments, grant and renewal applications, and more. While the DCI counters remain open from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday, you can stay safe, avoid the line, and save time by applying online for business services at dci.gov.ky. For questions about the DCI's online service or other licensing, enforcement, or regulatory matters, please email info@dci.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And thank you for joining us remotely. It's Miss Maria Marisha.
Marisha.
I want to give you a different name, and I tell you privately what I'm thinking, but I'm going to leave that for now. Marisha Spencer, the outreach coordinator over at the Cayman Crisis Center. You do a fantastic job, and so much, grateful to you for coordinating this last 7 months or so of this series every month with the partner agencies as a part of the Alliance to End Domestic Violence. So thanks, really thank you so much for doing that.
You're most welcome, and thanks so much, for affording us the opportunity, providing the platform so that we can share this information with the community.
It's important. I think more and more that we have dialogue, and more that we become, as you said, consciously aware, educated, informed, and proactive. We start to appreciate our own actions. We also see the behaviors. So the senior probation officer in the Department of Community Rehabilitation, Mr. Nelenis, joins us in the studio. And I recall one of the last discussions that you had that made me go away and think. We think probation, we think, almost punitive to an extent. But as you made your presentation, we realized that this is proactive. Hey, this thing could result in this, and this, including incarceration, including all sorts of things. But if we intervene early enough and you come to the table with a genuine intent, it can be managed in such a way that it helps people to navigate what could be murky waters.
No, you're absolutely correct. I think a lot of persons, they feel that when they go through that court process, that's the time that they get the intervention and get the help. And that's why it's important for us to have these sort of discussions, to come on the radio to talk about the awareness aspect, because you don't need to wait until it gets that bad. If you are concerned, or if there's things that are going on in your house, in your home, or at work, and you need to get that information, reach out to us, because we can definitely work through different aspects of domestic violence and kind of break that down for you. Sometimes you feel that there's things going on in your home, you feel out of control, and there's something there, but you know that you just need to get the information, get the awareness, but then there's this cultural perspective, that you can't talk about these things, you can't act on these things, and so that's why, we like to be able to come onto the radio to talk about these things, to build that awareness, because we want people to come, we want people to get the help, we want people to be aware about domestic violence, for victims to know exactly that there's avenues and resources out there so that they can get the help that they need.
And as I listen to both of you, I realize the problem many of us have a perception, may even be a misconception about what is domestic violence, and would it be helpful maybe to give us at least an overview of some of the more or the most common types, as it were?
Yeah, sure. No, happy to talk about the common types. Before I get to that, I just kind of want to give an overview of what domestic violence is.
Yes.
Because a lot of people may not necessarily know what it is, or when they think about domestic violence, the first thing that comes to mind is physical. So I'll give the broad overview of what domestic violence is, and then I kind of give you an idea of what the different types. So domestic violence is any incident or pattern of behavior. So when you say pattern of behavior, we're talking about something that's consistent over a period of time that is characterized by imbalance of power and control. And when we talk about power and control, that means that there's someone, in most cases, the male, I'm not saying that females can't use power control, but the male in most cases is the one who is using it or exerting their will over another person. And in this case, they are intending to commit harm or abuse to the other individual, and that person being their intimate partner or a member of their household, a family member. All right, so when you think about domestic violence, essentially that's what it is. There's different types, and like I said earlier on, physical is the one that most comes to mind, but we do have sexual abuse, we have emotional abuse, psychological abuse, financial abuse. So there's so many different areas that can look, when you think about domestic violence, that it can cover, right?
And you referenced the imbalance of power and control.
Yes.
And I don't want to anyway be insensitive, but as you referenced sort of the financial aspect, we can see that the person says, hey, I'm making more money, so therefore that's my thing. Or, you need to be making more money because we can't live this way. But even the sexual, the aggression, but also potentially the withholding, the threat to withhold and the like.
I mean, you think about how empowering it can be for a female or a victim in the household, where she has to go to her partner every single time she needs to either go to the grocery store or ask him for any time she needs to buy food for the kids. He's basically monopolized the whole of the finances, and basically telling her that she has to come to him and account for every single penny in the home. And when the finances aren't done the way that he would like it to be done, then it becomes a problem, right? Or there's manipulations of finances where she has to stay home when he works because that if she works, then she might feel that she has some sort of independence. And it's about taking away, stripping that independence away from that female.
Marisha, from that perspective, though, as you see people come in, I mean, that plays into their psychological sort of space as well. Because then they...
And what you have to look at also, or to make note of, is that even though these are the most common forms of abuse, you have to go a little bit deeper. So, like for finances, physical safety, these are basic needs that we all need to survive. And if someone is using your basic needs as a means of controlling you, then it makes it so much difficult, so much harder to move away from that abusive situation. And so it is important that when we go to support or to advocate, to assist victims and survivors, we look at those most basic needs. What are the basic needs that are not being met? Because until we're able to help them, to meet those basic needs, or if you can't do it physically, then you refer them to the agencies that will be able to assist. Then they will forever be trapped in that situation. And, look at physical safety, right? One of our most basic needs is having a roof over our head. And if you're in a situation or in an environment where you're controlled, you have nowhere else to go, then you're going to be inclined to remain there because you need to have a roof over your head. And if you dare venture out on your own, then it may take you down to the path of homelessness. And this is why, so for like agencies at the crisis center, we do provide, safe sheltering. So that then gives the victims, the survivors, that level of confidence to know that, hey, you don't have to stay here, you don't have to stay at this place and suffer. There is support available. And that is what the purpose of the Alliance really is, to bring all those resources together, to really create a simplified journey so that when victims decide to leave that abusive relationship, along the way they're not re-traumatized. They know that there is support available to them.
And as you were sharing earlier, I mean, you're looking at this overview of society, not just in Cayman, but globally, speaking to the issue of domestic violence. I mean, it's been 4+ decades globally where this initiative started, and yet it seems like it's still in its infancy. Here, as well as in other places, the awareness, the call to action, the public discussion on the issue, and the seemingly, unwillingness of some of us to appreciate our own, behaviors or commissions and omissions. So, Janelle, from that perspective, though, when we look at a small community like this, there's probably a lot of potential for stigma, people to be ostracized and castigated, and people to be maligned in such a way that they may, rather than feel a disdain or contempt in their minds of what the public may say, they may remain in situations.
Right. No, you're absolutely correct. When you come from such a small culture or small community, there is definitely stigma attached to it. But then there's certain different areas in our culture that perpetuates these sort of, avenues for violence. When you think about even from a Christian society, right, where you talk about the man is supposed to be the head of the household, right? And that's there in the Bible. But then sometimes that is an avenue that men would then use to try and exert their will against their partner.
Misconstrued and misapplied even.
Of course, right. Yeah. Right. And so there's certain things that's going to, without the awareness piece, that we're going to continue to be stuck, right, and not grow and evolve where we need to. So I can appreciate that, we need to get that information out there.
And I think too, Marisha, from that perspective, I can even flip that coin over and say that maybe the pressures internationally where we see, rightfully so in my mind, that people, young girls, young boys, as we empower them, we want them to be independent thinkers. We want them to be independent as best as they can. A good friend the other day reminded me that he said to his children, the boy children and the girl children, I want you to get a good education, whatever that is, whatever you get into, so that you can, on your own, survive. And when you find your partner, you can work collectively together. It may not be equal 50-50 share, but you don't have to depend on anybody. You the boy, no, you the girl.
Right.
Both of you learn to cook. You learn to do things.
Right, and I think sometimes you put our male and female in different boxes, right?
Yes, in boxes.
Right, we put them in categories and say, okay, as a boy you should act this way, as a female you should act this way, and what that means is that you're going to grow up with a certain ideal saying that men shouldn't cook, men shouldn't clean the home, men shouldn't do things, and then when you have that sort of thinking or that belief system, when you get into a relationship with your partner and you don't want to do those things, or you have an expectation from that partner,
and you don't even know how to.
You don't know how to. Then you might then be, use
Right.
abuse against the partner in that aspect.
But even so, too. Sorry, go ahead, Marisha.
Yes, I was just saying, and this is one of the reasons too, when we are, through our awareness building and our outreach, we have to emphasize the importance of healthy relationships. So what does healthy relationships look like? Because a lot of times, especially for these younger persons, they would have seen unhealthy, dysfunctional relationships. They're coming from homes where they're seeing this, and there is nothing to interrupt that culture, that script. So naturally, they are of the persuasion that, hey, this is what I know, so this is what I am supposed to be doing.
This is normal.
Right.
Right, so it's normalized. And then when you look even at the media, it is there, it's on the TV, it's in the music, there is this great gender disparity. So we have to bridge that gap through our awareness in order for changes to start happening.
But as you share that too, immediately two things almost seem a little contradict. One, let's say an example you referenced, the man that doesn't know how to cook, clean, iron, wash, to be, well, I think functionally, those are the life skills we all should have. But the man that can, if his partner isn't equally sort of the mindset that, hey, you are an equal partner, you know to do these things. I don't need you to tell you, that food needs to be cooked. I'm going to be working late, or the children have extra activities. You can go in the kitchen and whip up the best meal. There are some women that, for a man that can do that, they love that. For others, they may term him as a sissy or something else, less than. So that unequal sort of meeting of minds could create a disconnect as well.
Right. And I think it's important too as well that it's the expectation behind that. If you're expecting your partner to act a certain way, and when those expectations don't met, that's when the violence come in.
Right.
That's when you're going to have the problem. You should not exert your will on another person, essentially.
Yeah, I think that's the challenge. But this is where that sort of dialogue, these public discussions help us to appreciate that even us as parents now with our young children, that we raise them to be independent thinkers, to challenge the political mindset as well as the societal norms that, hey, you're a woman, you can swing a hammer, you can be...
Nothing wrong with that.
All of these jobs that way back when may have been seen as a role for, that's a man or that's a woman. We're slowly but surely sort of getting there, but maybe not fast enough for some of us. But then what about, well, let's take this short break and maybe let me ask, because for some of us, we see our mothers, we see our sisters, we want it in our wives and our daughters, that strong independent person in our partners. But is there a role where we can make sure that we don't create an imbalance, we don't have that disconnect because we're not appreciative of what expectations of each other? If that can maybe be discussed somewhat in a view of trying to appreciate that, this whole scope of domestic violence and abuse is something that we're probably not as cognizant as we think we are, despite the attempts. All right, let's pause and take the break. When we come back, let's continue the discussion.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
For
medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the 2021 Toyota Corolla Cross now at Vant Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new 2021 Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road.
What do you do if you have to go to a shelter? To help you safely prepare, evacuate, and shelter while protecting yourself and others from COVID-19 this hurricane season, here's some tips from the Public Health Department. If you must go to a shelter, be ready to protect yourself and others. Practice social distancing of at least 6 feet from others. Follow public health's preventative actions. Wash your hands with soap and water, often if possible, or use hand sanitizer, cover coughs and sneezes, and wear mask or cloth face coverings. Get your COVID-19 vaccine when eligible. Avoid sharing food and drink with anyone. For more guidance to update your emergency hurricane plans due to coronavirus, visit www.caymanprepared.gov.ky. This message is brought to you by the Public Health Department in partnership with the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. And certainly have a wonderful opportunity to remind us that we play many roles in the society, and the things we do can impact people and probably will. So let's make it as positive. In the studio, Mr. Nell Ennis, the Senior Probation Officer in the Department of Community Rehabilitation, and by phone, Ms. Marisha Spencer, the Outreach Coordinator at the Crisis Center. You know, it is the month of October, and as we look at the calendar for domestic violence, I think it's important for us to appreciate that the month is 31 days long. We eat a lot of sweets during the month, but the good things that need to happen, right? You know?
Definitely. There's definitely some things that we want to highlight for the month of October. So it being Domestic Violence Awareness Month, we have certain activities or certain things that we want to kind of bring to the attention of the public. That's going to be happening. Obviously kicking off today with the radio launch, interview. So on the 3rd, we have a church service, and I'll also tap into Marisha because she do have details about this. So I'll turn it over to Marisha for further information.
So on the 3rd, as Janine was saying, we do have our church service. I mean, what better way to kick off the month, you know, than to have some reverence to it. So we'll be having our church service at the St. George's Anglican Church, and that starts at 9 a.m. The St. George's Anglican Church is located off Courts Road. I mean, I know the entire community will not be able to attend, but the service will be streamed live on their Facebook page. So those persons who are interested who will not be able to attend in person can always watch it on their Facebook page. And we have also on the 13th, we're doing our Zoom webinar, which information for the Zoom webinar will be shared with the public soon. So you can just stay tuned to our social media pages, or if you have any questions or any concerns regarding our webinar, you can email us at alliance@ndv.ky. Now, we are aware that the month of October, it is a packed month because there are many other things being observed. So we have the FRC stood up anti-bullying campaign. There is also the Breast Cancer Awareness Month. There is Older Persons Month being observed in October, and the LGBTQ History Month being observed in October. So we know that there's a lot of things happening. So what we have done is to partner with some of these other entities. So one of our partnerships is with the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens for their Breast Cancer Awareness Month. They will be doing a number of community district awareness meetings. So the Alliance to End Domestic Violence will be there as well. I'm just going to go through quickly the dates for those community meetings. So on the 6th, that's Wednesday the 6th, we will be at East End, the Church of God Universal Church Hall. And just to note, the community awareness meetings, they all start at 7 p.m. So that's 7 p.m. in the evening, right? So on the 6th, we'll be at East End, Church of God Universal Church Hall. And then on the 11th, we will be in West Bay at the John Gray Memorial Church Hall. And on the 14th, we will be at Northside, that's the William Pucci Memorial Church Hall. And on the 19th, we will be at Savannah United Church. And on the 21st, we will be at the Bordentown Webster Memorial Church Hall. And to conclude the district meetings on the 28th, we will be at the Lions Community Center. And as I mentioned, all the district meetings, they start at 7 p.m. sharp. Now, continuing with the Alliance's internal events, on the 15th, so I mentioned the Zoom webinar for the 13th, and that will start at 6 p.m. But as I mentioned, more information will be forthcoming soon. We also have the Alliance website launch, which this has been a long time coming. So finally, on the 15th, we will be launching our website. And the 15th is a very important date for us also because it is our second year's anniversary. So the Alliance was launched on the 15th of October in 2019. So this 15th of October will mark our second year in existence. And then on the 22nd, we will be observing the annual Silent Witness March, which more information will be coming out in the media on that as well, because usually we would do the march, but because of the new COVID regulations that are put in place, there are some questions and concerns around that, but we will definitely be observing the Silent Witness March initiative. So I will provide further information as time progresses.
Okay. Well, with that, we see, I was looking at the month, and the month is, well, today's the 1st.
Yeah.
It is jam-packed. There is quite a bit of things going on.
But if we're not mindful, we will see the month come and go and not avail ourselves of these opportunities. And sadly, some of us may think, well, we notice then that it doesn't affect us, and not stop for 1 second to appreciate that we can benefit, but we can also contribute in some way. And I think information, they say, is not only empowering, but is the equalizer. And in this instance, the more we know, the better that we can positively and proactively respond, the better we will be positioned.
For sure.
But as I listen to you, I mean, you've provided a calendar of, a packed calendar for the month. But then there are those who are listening who may say, well, how can I not only get support, how can I support people? Are there things I can and probably shouldn't even do at times when we may be aware or at least somewhat conscious that there could be something afoot? Support for people who are affected, what can we offer them as available?
All right, so in supporting those persons who are affected, the first thing we need to do is to believe them, listen to them. So if someone discloses to you that I am experiencing domestic abuse, you don't need to see the abuse for yourself to believe them, right? And a lot of times when we're looking at the support, it depends on who is the perpetrator. So if a relative of mine is a perpetrator of domestic violence, then I may turn a blind eye. That is not okay. Being a bystander means that you are enabling the abuser, and that is never okay. So in supporting, you have to believe, you have to be non-judgmental, right? And the most important thing is helping these persons to develop a plan for safety. How can I support you in keeping safe? So if I am not at the place where I am ready to leave, or let me not say ready, but I am not able to leave the abuse because there are many barriers preventing persons from leaving an abusive situation. How can I help you to keep safe? So that is very important. And one other thing is we have to know that in supporting, we have to do it on their terms. You cannot force. It's not about you. It is about the person who you are supporting. So follow their lead. Don't always tell them you need to do this, you need to do that. No, ask, what can I do, or what will it take? How can I assist? Would you like me to? So it is important that we do not assert ourselves, because remember, abuse is about power and control. And when you're dictating and telling people what they need to do, you're adding an element of control. So you have to be mindful of that. So we support people on their terms. And importantly, we help them to find resources, because sometimes our support can be just giving a referral to the Crisis Center for Safe Sheltering, or giving a referral to the Family Resource Center, or even the Department of Community Rehabilitation. So there is power in referring, helping them to connect with other agencies that they can find, support. And importantly, if there's a volatile situation, do not sit and wait to see what is going to happen. Call for help. Call the police, 911. That's the easiest. They're immediate. They're there. Call 911, and everything else will follow afterwards.
Yeah, I think sometimes we wait and see in many things, and it just doesn't work.
You hear these horror stories where you see where there's situations that happen in the community where you see where they have been abusive, or a man is exerting power and control over a female, and they just stand up and watch, and no one intervenes. Use the resources that are available, call 911, get the help, and offer that support that they need.
I think that, over the years, the domestic treatment and intervention program that's been offered, increasingly, like the darkness to light, the more of us that do those training, become consciously aware, it will not only allow us, you guide me if I'm off, but not only allow us to be cognizant of other behaviors, but more importantly, of our own behaviors, to see where we are and what we think we're doing, but how it's being perceived, what we think we're doing, but actually the impact that it's having. And that level of consciousness, that awareness, that education, as it were, should position us to be a little bit more responsive, responsible, and respectful.
No, totally agree. Sometimes it's just really and truly not having the knowledge. Once you're not aware, you may not necessarily think that there's anything wrong with your behavior. So getting that information makes a whole lot of difference.
And it is hopeful that we get to a stage where we start to see people as people and not label them, in the way. Maybe I look for ideals, but we'll find there. To you, Ms. Marisha, maybe any sort of final closing thoughts you may want to leave, and then as well, Janelle.
All right. So firstly, for those persons who are interested in supporting us throughout this month of activity or calendar, it is on our social media pages. So it is on Instagram, it's on Facebook. So once you type in Alliance to End Domestic Violence, the pages will pop up. Or you can send me an email at alliance@ndv.ky, and I'll send the calendar to you. But really, Sterling, what I want to take this opportunity, to just call on the community, to let us know that we have the power to change. And in creating that change, it means that we're going to disrupt the culture that is in existence. We're going to take action and work towards one goal, and that goal is ending the cycle of abuse, supporting those persons who are affected. Because I believe, and like many of my colleagues, domestic violence, it can end. It can end.
And it should.
It takes us to do it. And until we're all on the same page, working together, then that will not happen. So I am calling out to everyone today, just as the theme says, championing change through awareness, action, and support. I'm calling on the community to be champions for change. We're champions for change.
Hey, thank you, Wanda. That's what we need to be, positive, interactive. Miss Janelle.
Well, when you end with that note, there's not much more I can say. She's a passionate speaker, and I believe everything that Ms. Marisha is talking about, because it is important that the community take action, take step, and take back the community. We need to not be innocent bystanders, or not be bystanders, rather. We need to definitely speak up. We need to, if you're yourself are feeling uncomfortable about your action, or there's things that you know that's not quite right, seek the help. You know, we are there to offer the support that's needed, even with the Department of Community Rehabilitation. Like I said earlier, and you don't have to wait before it gets to court. Seek help. Come on in. We are there to help you. We're there to make referrals and offer that support as much as possible. And with the Crisis Center, Ms. Marisha can probably end on that and talking about some of the services, but they are there to also help victims. So please reach out. We are there to help as much as possible.
Indeed.
Yes, so we provide safe sheltering for women and children. We also have our walk-in center. For anyone who is affected, male or female, you can come to our walk-in center. We're located on Eastern Avenue inside Crown Square Plaza, and that's Estella's Place. We're there to support you. If you're going through abuse, give us a call at our 24-hour crisis line. It's 943-2422. But please remember, for immediate assistance, please call 911 emergency services. And just to let persons who are affected know, you don't deserve to be abused. You're not alone in this. There's support available. We're here to support you.
Well, thank you for that.
If anyone is interested in, or interested in some of the programs that we're offering at the DCR, please contact us at 949-1693. That's our number, or you can find us located on Mary Street, Apollo House East. We can, like I said, we do take walk-ins, so please reach out to us if you are interested in accessing programs relating to domestic violence, or want to get some more information about domestic violence, or feel that you may be someone who is using domestic violence in your relationships. Please reach out to us. We can definitely help.
Thank you all very much, and not only a very pleasant but a safe weekend to each of you, but to all of us as well. Hey, thanks very much, Ms. Marisha.
You're most welcome, and thanks so much for having us.
Always an honor. Looking forward to our continued partnership, and likewise, Mr. Da. Well, to our listeners, we invite you to join us after the news break. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. Triple C School confirms school is closed today after a 9th grade high school student tests positive for COVID-19. In a letter to parents, the school administration says the student was not present in school today, and public health advised the school they will be testing the students from that particular class, as well as any teachers who have taught the class. Public health is requiring the students from that high school class to get tested at Doctors Hospital, along with the teachers, and the school decided to close at 11 a.m. today to facilitate that. Unless public health says otherwise, plans are to resume school on Monday. In international news, U.S. President Joe Biden has suffered a setback after Congress delayed a vote on a $1 trillion infrastructure plan. Part of his Democratic Party refuses to move forward with the plan unless Congress signs off on a separate $3.5 trillion plan on welfare and climate change. That plan is at the heart of the party's agenda for government, and passions are high among its liberal, progressive, and centrist wings. After years of controversy, Japan's Princess Meiko will marry her former classmate, a commoner, this month, and giving up her royal status. The Imperial Household Agency said the date had been set for October 26th. The couple were originally set to wed in 2018. Wayne Couzens is believed to have been in a WhatsApp group with 5 police officers who are being investigated for gross misconduct. The officers allegedly shared discriminatory messages, including misogynistic content. Couzens raped and murdered Sarah Everard while working for the Met after kidnapping her in a fake arrest. The London force faces questions over whether it missed chances to stop him and has issued safety advice to women. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back and thank you for joining us. It is open line now as we invite you to be a part of this fantastic Friday's edition, even though it's wet on the outside. Hey, listen, it's always good to give thanks for the blessings from on high. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255 or WhatsApp 925-3261. And as we get into today's discussion, we always want you to feel, hopefully, that it is a space where you can objectively, impartially share your perspective. But even if you are so inclined and you have a singular focus, well, hey, I think it's important that if we're going to have a healthy democracy, that people should be able to share from their perspective. What is important for us is that when we do so, can we do it responsibly, civilly, and respectfully? And when we're on the receiving end, well, can we likewise take it on board in a similar vein? It's only when we become contentious that we berate each other, when we fail to appreciate that our opinions are not only the only opinion, sometimes they're not even the best opinion, but we should not be denied the opportunity to exercise our freedom of expression. But what we're told by the best pundits, whatever corresponding right there is a responsibility. Well, let's be responsible in ensuring that we don't sit idle and let things unfold that are to our detriment, or worse, the detriment of our children and our future. In 949-8037, 949-6990, or toll free with the compliments of Flow, 1-800-534-8255, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Either way, you can share your thoughts with us. What's interesting though, we're living in an increasingly divided world where if we look globally and we would take the media, for many years, we would see newspapers in particular, whether they're out of the US or out of the UK, for instance, for those of us who are more familiar with those two markets. And we would know that if we read the views, whether it's the opinions or whether it was the even reporting, that we're going to get a particular slant. And that was long ago, and worse, probably in recent times. And now it's become, the television screen as everything else. Media is polarized and perhaps is polarizing society. So much so that even in our own sort of circles, we're finding that increasingly. But Cayman, the Cayman Islands could have been that champion, that wonderful example where we are able to share our own perspective and not have to be concerned with the growing division, but for recent times. And so, unfortunately, it is becoming readily apparent that in our own community, we're increasingly divided, not just by our political views, but by our practices in terms of the things we go about in our society. And maybe we can revisit that, because someone who says something sometime will mistakenly conclude that they must therefore be in agreement with this thing that is being said. Or if there is a semblance of silence, well, that's acquiescence. Well, not always the case. Let's go to our phones on weigh in with our listeners. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. WhatsApp 925-3261. Or you can, use the Flow toll-free line, 1-800-534-8255. It's a Friday, and it's the first of the month. A good friend of mine celebrates his birthday today. We shouldn't probably draw much attention to it, but so some people as to what we do, and that's what we might just do. But in the midst of positive celebrations, there are many who have to, in the same midst, recognize that there is some sadness. Let's go to the phones though. Welcome, good afternoon, thank you for calling.
Yes, sir, good afternoon.
And to you, ma'am. How are you today?
I wonder how you're faring. Because you wasn't just second one for the team, you were second for everybody.
Well, prayer sustains us, huh?
Yeah. I wonder when it is that we got mature enough to not scapegoat men as an afterthought, or is it just in the Cayman context, because every time I listen to these people come talking about domestic violence, I want to just get away from the sound of their voices. Let us talk about domestic violence, and it is him upon her. And then as an afterthought, I guess people like me have harangued the topic enough that, because we got turned the coin around. Domestic violence among persons who are in an intimate relationship in particular is just what it is. Everybody does it. And I just want to make clear that I got a few friends and associates who are males, and they are terrific human beings. They are absolutely stellar human beings. They are great dads, and they are great friends. And I don't want any of the men to feel just beaten down. And I can tell you, I want to let them know in this small community, men feel it after programs like this, because those who are trying are never, ever recognized by these people. I think they just need this is their job, and I don't want to know what they expect to.
If I could,
take away from that.
Right.
But I have some good friends. I even have a brother or two who are good dads. They might be nice people to me, but they are good fathers. And I think they are good spouses too, but not getting into that part of it.
But if I could ask you,
they're good dads, so on and so forth.
Because I appreciate what you're sharing, and just looking at the statistics that were shared with me globally, they say 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men experience domestic violence. So 1 in 3 and 1 in 4, 25%, 33%, not a significant difference in terms of the experience, the negative experience, right? Last year, some 10 million children witnessed some form of domestic violence. And is it then that as we listen to this whole issue, like so many things, have we not yet, as you've said, gotten to a place where we look at the issue and deal with the issue and not so much look at the person? It's like we hear and dismiss the message, not because it's a bad message, but because we don't, for some reason, want to hear from that particular messenger. So with violence, with abuse, with different things, what you're saying is then we're not seeing it, that despite there may be more women affected.
I want to hear, when I remember being child, say 4 or 5 years old, 8 years old. When I was 8 years old, I could hear the licks on the flesh from next door. That was a man beating a woman. That was regular on the weekends. When I was about 10, 12 years old, I could hear it across like 2 house lots, flesh on flesh. Look, you could hear the licks. So I am not one to deny that. And even then I said I wanted to work in some arena that would make that right. But as I am an old woman now, I understand that the law does give people the ability to defend themselves, life and limb. And at least one of the women, she would sit down there and pick the sore on the person's foot, and then she would get the lick. She never said anything about it, because I believe that was her game. But let us not go into this. And I want all women to know, I am a mother and a grandmother, and I didn't see the other my partner being pregnant and walking up and down the street, and it was only me up in the delivery room. So it's still only us that carry and deliver, both females and she-males. We need to encourage them both, support them both, and chastise them both.
Wrong is wrong.
Wrong is wrong.
Right. And as I listen to you, I mean, our last 2 guests, referenced that this whole this entire issue evolved from a day of unity against domestic violence back in October 1981. Now, if my math is correct, that's 40 years ago, right? Globally, we're just now getting around to really looking at the issue of how our behavior impact our partners, our households, our community. So if I'm listening to you correctly, maybe we need to start to do what you're saying and look at the issue holistically. And violence against people is just that, violence against people, and not put a label on it.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
Because I've seen men trying to weasel out of a punch back.
Mm-hmm.
When they are being pushed against the wall and slapped in front of people.
Mm-hmm.
I even witnessed somebody being down in 3 different times and pick up dirt out of off of the road and throw in the man's face, and he's out there in company. Now, come on now.
Yeah. So if that sort of thing happens, right, where we see, now we, hopefully people listening will not misunderstand and we will not misrepresent what we're saying, but when we see that behavior, I mean, we obviously don't know what may have transpired, what may be transpiring to lead to that public action, but we hear...
I was living right next door. I know the man who bathing the children and hanging out the clothes on the line.
Right.
And bringing home Kentucky in the evening, in the Poultry Week in Kentucky.
Right. But we hear, especially in the small communities, we hear that, let's say in this instance, continue with your narrative, the male is being subjected to this, could we say maybe level of ridicule, maybe level of behavior, if abuse isn't the word that we want to use. And the wider community sometimes looks at the man and will say, well, what kind of man you are? Take that kind of thing, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But
I believe sometimes that's why it goes further than even it should go, because sometimes it's just maybe a shouting match, and then my gender gets brave because I'm getting away with it today, and they jump on, and you don't forget the people who have an agenda,
right? So
in our relationship,
right? So could we maybe try to find a level of education and awareness where we speak to the behavior and we let people appreciate?
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's not right from whomever.
Right, and
I believe partners should support each other.
Mm-hmm.
They should care for each other. They should chastise each other when they need to be chastised, and I don't mean with a big stick. I mean, baby, you know that not right.
Right, dialogue, discussion, right? Yeah, communication. So is then that part of the thing? Not that it's akin to it, but I wonder to what extent it contributes to it. This notion of marriages of convenience, maybe sometimes.
Talk about them.
Well, why don't I listen to you as you tell me?
Well, I don't know nothing about them, because if I had known anything about them, I'd go immigration. I'm immigration officer all the time.
Yeah, it is something that I think that we don't always appreciate, how in our communities that we can do so much more than we're doing, but almost in the same breath we don't realize the impact of what we are doing or failing to do when it comes to making situations untenable, and how we are, just by our presence, contributing to what is transpiring. People sometimes stay in relationships because of perceptions of society or obligations
for the car, for the house.
Mm-hmm. That financial standing or societal.
Brunch on Sundays, don't forget all that.
You mean the argument from the house to the car and the drive to the church door and then the smile as they enter the sanctuary? No, that'll happen.
I believe so, though.
Yeah, well.
I am not against trying to find a way out for couples who shouldn't even be together to begin with, and there I think the situation of convenience comes in, because they just latch on to the weakest link in the chain and then drag the chain and bust the link and they go on with the link. But you just haranguing men at every turn. Yes, they say that abuse is more. I do believe that men don't report as often as women. And as a woman, I wouldn't want to report, in particular in Cayman. And I definitely know that men don't want to make the report in Cayman. They don't want to make that report because it is usually a Caymanian man and somebody from someplace else. And they don't know it done did on the vine before they get there, and about they get there. And that to me seems so unfair. While the bad behavior continues, and we as Caymanians do not lift up those men in our community whom we know are stellar human beings, whom we know try hard, and whom we know, just like myself, because plenty of us make mistakes. I mean, I believe some people don't make mistakes. You can't ask them about the mistakes they make because they don't make any. But, we got COVID to talk about.
Yeah.
You're not bringing me anything else that you brought me last year in the theme. Hold it back a little bit. Put it on the internet, and then I want to see crying going on.
There you go.
Anyway.
All right, blessings to you. Thanks again, huh?
Yes, sir.
All right. With our callers, just crave your indulgence and patience. We'll just pause quickly, and when we come back, more talk today.
Is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Aston Shedden Rutty, MBE 1990 to 1977. Aston Rutty was the first child born to Henry Watson Rutty, ISO JP, and Julia Ann Rutty Nilazari at Stake Bay, Cayman Brac. He attended school at Stake Bay and as a young teenager was sent to Jamaica to attend technical training school. On his return, he worked for his father, who was collector of customs for Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. He eventually became the Sister Islands' first district commissioner. Mr. Rutty was married to Ruth Merrin in 1931 and the couple had 4 children. Mr. Rutty is best remembered for his dedication and diligent work to rebuild the Sister Islands in the aftermath of the 1932 hurricane. He was involved in the construction of roads, the airport, government buildings, and much of the infrastructure of the Sister Islands. He served as an immigration and customs officer, as a judge, and after retiring from government in 1960 as a law agent. The Civic Center on the Bluff was named in his honor. Aston Shedden Rutty.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our Sister Islands have to offer.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office.
Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
I'm a mother. I support my freedom of choice to make the medical decisions that are best for me as an individual.
I do not support vaccine mandates and the Gazetted Immigration Bill 2021 LG51 S1. Every single resident in the Cayman Islands deserves the freedom of choice.
Join us together this Saturday, 2nd October, from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. on the sidewalk outside the Governor's House, West Bay Road. Bring your sign to show your support for the freedom of choice.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thank you for joining us. It is open line as we go straight to your phones. Good afternoon. Welcome.
Good afternoon.
How are you today? Good afternoon.
I'm fine. How are you?
Very, very thankful, and thank you for taking time to call us.
I'm calling concerning Cayman Airways. Complaining about Cayman Airways, always changing their scheduled times.
Okay.
People from the BRAC, wait weeks, sometimes months to get a doctor appointment in Grand Cayman. And then they always, they go by the schedules to try to get these appointments. Then when I get appointment a few days before the appointment, they change the time. All they change the time to leave the BRAC later or come back from Grand earlier. Like on the 6th of next month, somebody had a doctor appointment down there, and it's just the schedule was to leave Grand on 5:05, and then today they changed the flight to 2:45, leaving 2:45 for next week. That's on the 6th. And you don't give them enough time to really get through the doctor appointment. So I don't know why they got to be changing the schedule all the time. But they said they had 3 flights, but they canceled the 5:05 and only kept the 2:45. They should have kept the 5:05 if they want to cancel one, because people from the BRAC don't have time to get through with the doctor appointments and some other appointments that they have. Arriving at Cayman at 9:15, Cayman Airways is always late, so that's 9:30 at least.
Yeah.
Then you got to be back to the airport again at like 1:30. You got like 4 hours or less than 4 hours in Grand to do your doctor appointments and the other things. It's not good for them to do that.
I appreciate you sharing that with us, because if I could, I maybe invite you. Many of us probably don't appreciate that for our family and friends in the BRAC to come over to Grand Cayman, whether it's the visit for the physician as you shared or other things. We probably don't have the same level of appreciation and sensitivity that this is a flight, very much like us leaving the Cayman Islands and going to some other country, right? So you have to go to the airport, catch the flight, go through all that procedure, come over here. Is that usually something that you can do in the day, or do you have to overnight in many instances?
Yes, it's something you can do in a night. In one day, if they were going by the schedule, because you try to book your appointment according to the schedules, and the schedule was to leave 8:35 and the BRAC arrive at 9:15, and then again at 5:05. That would have been enough time. But they changed the schedule, leaving to come back from Grand 2:45 instead of 5:05. So that cuts off over a lot of time off your time in Grand. But you end up might not have enough time for your doctor appointment.
And that's the thing, because then you may have the family here that has to, maybe change their schedules to accommodate you, or if something happens, then expense.
Have a family there to stay overnight with. They have to go to a hotel or something, and they try to choose these days that have enough time according to the schedule to get the business done, and then they turn around and change it. If they will stick to the schedule, then you could kind of hope to get your appointment during the days that they got the 8:35 and the 5:45 flight.
Well,
but you really can't go by the schedule. They change all the time, and they're like, they don't care. They said, if you don't like it, you have to stay overnight. That's what they tell me. So that's not good enough.
It is something, as I listen to someone's messaging and saying that even though it's one country, we don't realize the challenges sometimes, those of us on the BRAC have. I'm just paraphrasing, when it comes to coming to Grand Cayman. We come here sometimes to shop, other times we come for a doctor, but sometimes we just want a breakaway too, So that schedule change can affect you, I can imagine.
Yeah, it do affect you, I myself been doing that before, and then the day that I leave in, then they change the schedule, and you got 3.5, 4 hours in Grand, you couldn't get through your business, and I had to go to a hotel, or end up I had to go and come back another day or something.
Can I, if it's okay to ask of you, I know over the years there have been much discussion about the type of aircraft that we should use to service, Grand Cayman and the BRAC in particular. The jet versus some other smaller commuter-like craft. Do you have a particular view on what you think would be the best option?
Well, I think the best option for the BRAC would be like a 60-seater or something like that,
60?
Yeah, if you got a 60-seater, then you could just run it in the morning and the evening. You would not put in extra flights.
Right.
I think, maybe weekends you could put in the jet, but normally you had a 60-seater leaving the BRAC 8:30 and then leaving Grand 5:30. It was so the BRACers good, I think.
Yes, sir. And then again, just your opinion from your personal experience over the many years that you've done, this and observe. How much demand? How many people do you think on a daily basis would be using the service to come back and forth in the morning and in the afternoon?
Well, I think, normally you would have a lot more people use that flight too, not only the doctors and things like that, but people would use that flight to come over, to even visit friends and do shopping at the same time.
Yes,
so
sir.
I think there would be more people using it if you had a reliable flight, leaving every day 8:30, leaving back around 5:30. And people would know instead of changing it up,
So
you get in Grand Cayman and to leave 5:30, and then they change up and you leave 2:45. You got to cut everything short. If you know beforehand, you could plan, but they just change it up, and you can't plan for it.
Right. So a daily flight, you think, Monday through Friday or Monday through Thursday, on twice a day, one big haul in the morning and then one back in the afternoon?
Yeah, well, like early evening, like leaving back in Grand at 5:30, I think would be good.
Yeah, on the face it sounds good. I mean, some people might say about maybe 6:37, but
Yeah, even that. I mean, even that, it'd be okay too. Because so you could get through your business. Of course, that'd be fine too.
Yeah, leave early in the morning to get here,
Okay.
and then return in the evening to get there. And from your perspective, then I'm thinking of leaving the BRAC to come to Grand Cayman, and then leaving Grand Cayman to go to the BRAC. You would think that those in the BRAC would want to probably get here 8:39 once the business is open, and then those going from Grand Cayman maybe tending to go more for vacation and maybe want to go there, depart here earlier to get to the BRAC, to leave the BRAC to get back to Grand Cayman between 8 and 9 thereabouts.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it works both ways. People
Yes, sir.
From Grand come to BRAC won't get back before night. That's why I said, leaving Grand like 5:30, and you leave back out the BRAC like 6:30. Going back to Grand, it would work. My opinion, I think it would work both ways for people coming or going, back and forth.
Yeah, well, I think this is where, like many things, businesses understand what it is that their customers ask and want, and what is it that they potentially would need and would work best for them. Maybe listening to you, we may have saved ourselves, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in consultancy fees, and try what you're suggesting, 2 flights a day and call it George.
Yeah, and to me that would save on fuel and everything else. If you had a big enough plane and leaving, like I said, 8:30 in the morning, come back 5:30 in the evening.
All right. Can I ask one last question, again with the greatest of respect and hopefully with a view of trying to understand and learn more? But there are many people over the years complaining about cost, the cost of this particular item, whether it's bread or milk or cheese, or whether it's the price of the gas at the fueling station or what have you. But the price of airline tickets, and in particular going back and forth between, Grand Cayman and the BRAC, Little Cayman, and what is your perception? Is it expensive? Is it reasonable? Is it too cheap?
Well, from my point of view, I think it's expensive for you need to take in consideration the amount of miles it is, Then again, like I said, these planes are carrying passengers, so I think if you had a bigger plane, a 60 passenger plane, if you could fill it up, you could cut back on the tickets too,
Yeah. So maybe as you
4 or 5 flights a day, in a smaller plane, you can burn up more fuel than making 2 flights,
Yeah, I think as I listen to you, I think you're suggesting that maybe economies of scale just have, instead of the many flights that we have now, maybe just have 2 scheduled flights. You go in the morning and you come back in the evening.
Yeah, that'd be good if you had a big enough plane and had it scheduled, reliable, they don't change it up on you,
Yeah, well, a more streamlined service might be, as I'm hearing what you're saying, I know not necessarily that's what you're saying. In terms of efficiency, it might be, might be something to consider. At least experiment with to see what it's like,
Yeah, right. Yeah. When they sent me email saying this had changed at 2:45, they said if I do not approve, I must call him, talk to him about it. So I called him and they said, well, we don't like it. You have to stay overnight,
So you got a choice: take it or leave it.
That's the answer they gave me, and the answer I gave them, I say, no, I don't like to stay overnight because too much corona and traffic over there.
Man. a friend. But I'm hearing though that even on the Bracknell is like, buddy mine went up the other day and he was complaining because he was the only one of 2 cars on the road. He said, "Look at all this traffic on the Bracknell. Where did this come from?"
Yeah, true. Bracket getting traffic now too, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Well, I tell you, I'm hoping and praying that you all remain not just the blessed, beautiful people that you are, but that we start to appreciate as a country, where we are and what we have, and show a little more love and consideration to each other. Huh?
Right. Yeah.
All right. Anything else, sir, you wish to share with us?
No, that'd be all for today.
All right.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you too for sharing. And hopefully this can be something that is addressed. That with many things, we have competing interests, we have perhaps conflicting schedules, but maybe there's a way to find something that works, as best as possible for as many as possible.
Yes, that'd be nice if they could, more or less stick to the schedule. The people could plan better. Anyway, thank you, and you have a good weekend.
You too, sir. God bless. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. 8949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Gonna take a break, but consider dialing those numbers and sharing your thought. You can talk about anything. The worst thing that I think can happen in many times when it comes to conversation is that a thought that goes, unechoed, a sentiment that is never shared, and more importantly, that opinion that is probably kept to ourselves. Let's pause. We want to hear from you, so stay tuned for Talk Today.
Busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom-designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
Had a look at those investment options yet?
Too busy. Look at today. Workout, breakfast, take the kids to school, back-to-back meetings, take Pepper to the vet, and she's apparently got allergies now, so... And that was all before 12. But you look relaxed.
That's because my money's as busy as you.
With RF, you can access the best in local and international investments to keep your money busy, so you can spend more time focusing on you. Contact us at rfgroup.com to find out more. RF, money at work.
20 years.
Remember when Crew Road had no median and Linford Pearson was only 2 lanes?
We do.
When Dirty Reeds was down the street?
We do.
We have been there for the falls, the growth, and the rise. When your body and mind needed to change, Powerhouse Gym has been here. We've skated with you. Your first date, your daughter's first time on skates, your son's first strike. From football to squash, to karate and hockey, to bowling and concerts, and everything in between.
For 20 years.
So much has changed, some for the good and some not so much. Through it all, King Sports Center has been here for you, for Cayman.
King Sports Center, celebrating 20 years as Cayman's home for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you. We are a non-for-profit member-centric plan with a democratically elected volunteer board of trustees representing all sectors of the Cayman Islands economy. Chamber Pension has an all-in expense ratio of 0.72% over 16,000 members, $430 million in assets under management. We were the first multi-employer pension plan approved by the regulator in the late 1990s. And today, we are still strong, secure, and are here for employees and employers alike. If you would like to join or request further information, visit chamberpension.ky. And for information as it happens, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thank you for joining us. It is open line as we go straight to the phones. Welcome. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. Good afternoon to all our listeners. How are you today?
Afternoon, sir. How are you today?
Yes, sir. I'm making the best of it.
Well, that's good to hear, man. Hope it gets better each time.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I want to talk about the imports of gasoline and diesel into the BRIC or Grand Cayman as a whole. I know a lot of people are concerned about prices.
Right.
Etc.
Well, if you heard our midday news, Felicia Rankin Salins indicated their, Offerings report indicating their fuel prices. So I appreciate you listening, man.
Yes, sir. The last tanker that came here, named Sawtooth, that was a small one, 12,000 deadweight tons. Normally the ones that come here is around 50,000 deadweight, 45 to 50,000.
Mm-hmm.
This one, the last port before Cayman BRIC was St. Eustatius in the Netherlands Antilles, one of the northern islands. And before that, it was San Juan, Puerto Rico. I'm not sure where the cargo actually was loaded, but according to details, the gasoline was loaded in San Juan, Puerto Rico, the gasoline that was brought to Cayman BRIC, and possibly the diesel was loaded in St. Eustatius, the Netherlands Antilles. And furthermore, Rubis has a small oil refinery in Fort de France, Martinique, which produces around 15,000 barrels of refined products daily from raw crude oil that they import into Martinique. And sometimes in a small tanker, before they probably export that from Martinique into other Caribbean islands, and I'm not sure if anything came from there this time, but it came to Cayman BRIC and discharged gasoline and diesel and went on to Belize with a part cargo after leaving Cayman BRIC, went to Belize to complete, discharging in Belize. And the big tankers are around 600 feet long, 50,000 tonners. Some of the last ones that came to Grand Cayman loaded it at Garyville, Louisiana, up the Mississippi River, and they came loaded direct to Grand Cayman, pumped out a portion for Sol and Rubis in Grand Cayman, and then one of them came on to Cayman BRIC, and from Cayman BRIC, one went to Panama, direct to Panama. So, in this story that we have always heard about Cayman BRIC being and the Cayman Islands being out of the way of the tankers, why our prices has to go up higher, that is absolutely incorrect. We are a lot of times right in the route of where these tankers are coming from and going.
Mm-hmm.
For example, they would load in Mobile, Alabama, jet fuel in Mobile, Alabama, or gasoline, and go to the Bahamas, then go to the Dominican Republic and stop by Cayman BRIC or Grand Cayman, which is right in the route from Dominican Republic back to Grand Cayman, and empty out and then go on to Houston. And they would come here and empty out here. Several times we were getting the last stripping of the cargo tanks, we call that, the last drainings of the tank. We would get that, some of the big ones, and they would proceed to Houston to load another cargo for Brazil or Argentina or some other Caribbean island. So this thing about having to service the Cayman Islands and we being out of route far out of the route. That is absolutely incorrect. I am the one that knows the routes of these ships and where they come from and where they go
Yes, sir.
and how much they carry. So that's one thing I want to verify, that it should not be used as an excuse why the prices should be higher, because the Cayman Islands is an out-of-way place from their route. Okay? That's what I want to verify.
All right. Well, appreciate you sharing that with us so that we understand it. And maybe the more that we become cognizant, maybe the more we'll be able to find a way to negotiate some of the offerings and find a way to make it more economically feasible. Appreciate your thoughts, Mr. Raymond.
1 moment, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, on Monday it will be one of the biggest oil rigs in the world, towed by one of the biggest tugs in the world. It's around the west end of Cuba now, coming east, moving very slowly, 4 miles an hour. So when it comes in sight of Grand Cayman or Little Cayman, wherever it's, I'm not sure what route it's taking. It could come between Grand Cayman and Little Cayman, or north of Cayman Brac, or south of Grand Cayman. I'm not sure which route, but it will be in sight for a very long time, because the tug has a horsepower of 16,300 horsepower with 2 German-built Wärtsilä diesel engines, and they're about full power, pulling this massive oil rig coming out of Corpus Christi, going to Brazil, a port named Belém, where Caymanian seamen used to go there in Belém. Also, I would like to say that the biggest chemical tanker in the world passed Cayman Brac day before yesterday morning, flying the Cayman Island flag, Georgetown painted on her stern. And where you think that chemical tanker was coming from, the last port? Will you guess that?
No, man, no. Let me see. Tell us.
Port-au-Prince, Haiti.
Okay.
It's like Haiti has a dock to take that 600-footer alongside, and it came from the Far East with various chemicals, and it had palm oil for making pastries and biscuits and all that other types of products, and it came through the Panama Canal and went to Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and pumped out the palm oil, because Port-au-Prince got a very big bakery that makes biscuits and pastries, etc. So this Cayman Island flag tanker brought palm oil from Malaysia. It came through the Panama Canal and went to Haiti and pumped that out, and then going on to Houston to discharge. And that company has 40 chemical tankers flying the Cayman Island flag, which is quite outstanding. The biggest chemical company in the world has around 40 of its tankers flying the Cayman Island flag. But we are at great risk with a place called Marshall Islands in the South Pacific of being the world's most important ship registry port now, taking yachts and all kinds of boats and ships from every country in the world going and registering in the Marshall Islands. So the Cayman Islands needs to do a pricing that is suitable for foreign companies, to encourage foreign companies to register their ships in the Cayman Islands and be competitive with that place that is now the world's #1 ship registry. It has even surpassed Panama and Liberia, which used to be the world's highest ship registry port.
Right.
Also, another thing to say that Caymanian seamen, my brother and another Tatum from Spot Bay, Cayman Brac, are the only 2 remaining in the world that are active. I mean, still assigned to the seamanship, seafaring. My brother Captain Radley, just completed a master's mariner's course in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He was there for like 5 days, and he done that to renew his captain's license and his master's license for an additional 4 years. He's now at 72 years old, but still luckily he's doing good. And he said, Raymond, I met 5 captains there that were doing their license that were captains of mega yachts registered in the Cayman Islands, and also some women, 2 or 3 women captains were there also getting their license renewed. Quite interesting, eh?
Yeah. Well, this is it, man. And I appreciate always, Mr. Raymond, you reminding us of not just the incredible maritime heritage, the opportunities that exist, but even to see and to be aware of the many big vessels and traverse our shipping lanes. Hey, thank you very much. When we come back, we'll continue to share with you some thoughts from the WhatsApp. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office. Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Census 2021. Come on, get ready. Census starting 10th of October 2021. Census West Bay, you're ready. Census East End, we coming. Census everyone will be counted. Census 2021. Census information is secret. Census 2021. Census starting October 10th. 2021. Census 2021. Census. Census. Census
2021 Census. Everyone counts.
I'm a Caymanian. I'm a father.
I'm a child. I'm a friend. I do not support COVID-19 mandated vaccines.
This Saturday, the 2nd of October, join us outside the Governor's House on the West Bay Road sidewalk to stand together in support of the freedom of choice. This means we respect everyone's individual rights to make the medical decisions they want to make. All are welcome from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. This is for you. This is for our future. This is for the Cayman Islands.
As the community continues to take precautions from COVID-19, it is important to stay prepared for other disasters now that we're in the hurricane season. Here are some post-hurricane safety tips from the Department of Environmental Health. Did you know that you must discard fresh fruits and vegetables, meats, foods in canisters, dented, leaking, or rusting cans after they have come in contact with floodwater? For full guidance on post-hurricane safety tips, visit www.deh.gov.ky.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thank you for joining us. It is Open Line here on this fantastic Friday's edition of Talk Today, as we invite you to not just tune in and contribute, share your thoughts with us, but you're moving about the community and there's some rain falling in your area as it was earlier. Well, roads are wet, but in any case, in every endeavor, always be safe and cautious, cognizant, considerate of each other. Better to arrive, as a PSC and Radio Cayman used to air long ago. Arrive, safe, and even if you're a bit late, safe is even more important. A couple of messages on our WhatsApp in relation to the comments concerning movement between the three islands in our country. This listener says, as a gentleman earlier, prior to one pass, I hope Cayman Islands have some thought also for Little Cayman. Sometimes it's crazy to get a flight for doctor's appointment either in the back or in Grand Cayman. Cayman Brac, always tries to accommodate us, but for Grand Cayman, you have to do overnight to have an early appointment so you can get back to Little Cayman. And then, of course, the groceries in Little Cayman are expensive. We'll share some other thoughts in relation to the flight schedule. But let's go to the phones. Welcome, good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Afternoon, Dwayne again.
Welcome back again, sir.
Yes, so I got something important to talk about. It's a totally different subject when we're dealing with health issues now and some sufferings of people, numerous people.
Yes, sir.
From a disability, I would like to explain to the public.
Mm-hmm.
Here on Cayman Brac, well, Grand Cayman as a whole, but on Cayman Brac, we've been having several people having the misery and the suffering from the attacks of gout, which gout is the swelling of the toe or swelling of the foot or the ankle or the knee.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in an uprise in Cayman Brac. I just went through a severe potential misery and agony for about 10 days was an attack that I had, and so many other people have told me that they have been experiencing it. And it's something that when you get it, some people think it may be arthritis, it may be rheumatism. They don't know what it is. In fact, the person didn't know what it was until they met up with me, and I told them what the symptoms are and what it is. And it's a buildup of uric acid in the blood, and it swells the tissues in the toe or in the foot or in the knee, and the knee or toe or foot cannot flex, and it's a pressure. The foot becomes swollen like when you got fluid in your foot, and the knee is swollen like when you got fluid in the knee. And it's contributed from the things that we eat and drink. And my theory is studying a problem that we have is chemically irradiated drinking water and the chemically irradiated foods. Now, this uric acid in the blood gathers and it attacks the feet, mostly the toe, ankle, and knees. Upper parts of the, I have heard one or two people had it in their shoulder, get a pain in your shoulder and you can't move. Move it. And it immobilizes the person that has it. If they call in sick from work, say, I got a problem, I can't walk, it totally takes you down. You can't put any weight on your foot. You can't move around. Even it's a problem to get in your vehicle and move around. And there is a tablet that persons that suffer from it, there is a tablet that you can take on a regular basis that will help regulate the acids in the blood to prevent the gout from happening. And I have noticed it. It's something I have had it like 5 times now in my life, and it normally comes on about every year. Every year it happens, and so many people have been suffering, and you can't work. It just puts you down that you're out of commission. You can't do anything until this thing, the pain goes away, because it stiffens the joint, it stiffens the nerves and the tissue surrounding your toe, your foot, your knee, whatever it is. And it's a medical condition that is on the increase in Cayman Brac acid in the blood.
Yeah, I do recognize the importance of what you're sharing and the news, but if I could just maybe ask of you quickly, do you, when you have it, you said, every year, is it around the same time every year that you experience it?
Roughly around the same time, and one of the big things that will bring it on is drinking soft drinks and orange juice and all that kind of thing as a build-up over the years. But some young people have been having it, elderly people, middle-aged people will have a time for this uric acid to build up in your body. But even some young people in their teens been telling me that they've been having it, and that's serious if it come on as a teenager, because it's a misery. It's what you call excruciating pain. It's severe potential agony. It can be. So it's really a serious thing, and it can be regulated by avoiding acids, soft drinks, orange juice. Drink it on a moderately level, and also red meats are highly with high levels of uric acid as well.
Right, lots of sugars and stuff in your diet, huh?
Yeah, sugar is correct, and other things.
Alcohol and beverages and sugar. Mr. Raymond, you always have wealthy information, and I do have the news. Any other final thought you may want to leave with us?
I've been studying for the last 20 years, and we have heard why so many cancers in the Cayman Islands, and that's the number one cause of death in Cayman Brackets. Number one cause of death is cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And you have heard many people talking about mosquito sprays, the pesticide. Well, here Raymond is today without a job working with the government because I quit because of the chemical effects from the MRCU that I was working with.
Mm-hmm.
I had 4 years in there with MRCU working along with my good buddy there, my dear friend, Mr. Floyd Banks.
Mm-hmm.
He was awesome. I eventually had to quit because of the side effects that was causing to me. Being unhealthy, numerous headaches and sneezing and sore throat when you get into the spray truck to spray for mosquitoes. And that was a pesticide that was actually banned in the United States. And how the hell we get that here in the Cayman Islands? I vexed about that, how we were using malathion, which was banned in some states in the United States, and we were using it in the Cayman Islands to spray for mosquitoes, and also another product called Batex. I worked with both of them with MRCU, and now the last one I know about was aqua wrestling. And here is another theory of my studies. Chemical irradiated water with sodium chloride, calcium chloride, sodium sulfate, various chemicals like that in the drinking water. Normally you can't pick up a bottle off the shelf and go drink it because it tastes so bad. Because when the chemical is chilled, the chemical is more tasty. And you will see on the label, added minerals for taste. They add minerals to water.
Mm-hmm.
So that those chemicals that are in that drinking water, and that would be a product of a chemical that we are all consuming more than any other type of chemical in our bodies.
Yes, sir. Well, Mr. Raymond, I thank you, and a wealth of knowledge there with great respect to you. Let's pause and take our news break. When we come back, more talk today.
Radio Cayman,
the voice,
the heart, the soul of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
As of 8 a.m. this morning, Chief Nursing Officer Dr. Hazel Brown reports 688 COVID-19 tests have been carried out since this was last reported on Thursday. There were 13 new positives. 2 travelers. In the community, there are 11 new positives, including 6 students, 1 from John Gray High School, 1 from Georgetown Primary School, and 1 from Triple C School, 1 preschooler, 2 adult contacts of students, and 2 community acquired with no known connection to a case. Turning to international news now, Australia will reopen its international border from November, giving long-awaited freedoms to vaccinated citizens and their relatives. Since March 2020, Australia has had some of the world's strictest border rules, even banning its own people from leaving the country. The policy has been praised for helping to suppress COVID, but it has also controversially separated families. The U.S. Federal Aviation Authority has said it will review safety concerns raised by whistleblowers at Blue Origin Amazon founder Jeff Bezos' space company. The announcement comes after 21 current and former employees claimed the company had ignored safety concerns to gain an advantage in the space race. Staff also complained of a culture of sexism within the company. Blue Origin rejected the charges and said it stands by its safety record. And a Spanish judge has shocked women's rights groups by dismissing a case that involved women being secretly filmed urinating in public and the videos being posted on porn websites. Recordings of some 80 women and girls were made as they urinated in a side street because of a lack of facilities. In many cases, the footage showed close-ups of the women's genitals and faces. A local judge there shelved the case on the grounds that because the videos were recorded in a public place, they cannot be deemed criminal. Those are your latest headlines here on Radio Cayman. I'm Shana Gallego.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thank you for joining us. It is open line as we invite your calls. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. You can WhatsApp 925-3261 and share your thoughts with us in any capacity that you so choose. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or WhatsApp 925-3261 and share your perspective with us as we invite you to be a part of our discussion here on Talk Today. Now, a couple of our listeners were of the perspective that, when we look at maybe the movements between, Grand Cayman and the sister islands, just as a quick sort of overview. I'm so grateful for the wonderful resources that we have within the team here. Just on the 6th of October, as an example, there are 4 flights: an 8:25 a.m. flight that stops in Little Cayman, an 8:35 flight that is direct, a 3:40 p.m. that stops again in Little Cayman, and then a 3:55 that goes direct to Grand Cayman. And whether we're using the Twin Otter or the Sab, so it is interesting to see that for a small community we do have a lot of available options to our people. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or WhatsApp 925-3261. Look at a couple of the comments here on our WhatsApp, and some of our listeners are sort of sharing that the country may be small from the perspective of population, as this one writes the sentiments, but it is certainly diverse and heavily resourced. How many other places can sort of say that we have this much variety? Now, maybe that's the challenge. As I read through a number of these comments, have we become so accustomed to what we have on offer that we don't appreciate it relative to other larger jurisdictions? They may even have, one flight from their country as an international flight to, a place where they can connect. Just one, not just one for the week or for the day. But we have a lot, even in this new environment in which we find ourselves. So what's on your mind? Share your thoughts with us, 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. or 925-3261. You can WhatsApp your thoughts if you choose. One other sentiment here from one listener, and I was just waiting for a perspective to come through so that we could share that with you in more detail. But while that message is being composed, let me consider, some of the things that in the past were shared with us. Where are we? Well, we know that on Monday, the House of Parliament is convened again, and our parliamentarians will be assembled and debate and discuss and deliberate. Who knows what decisions will be determined as they cast their votes. Well, let's pay attention and be a part of what happens. Let's go to the phones. Welcome, good afternoon. Thanks for calling. Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
How are you today?
I was looking at all that mulch that the government has been giving away to people.
Mm-hmm.
I called the Department of Environmental Health and said there need to be signs posted, large signs posted, because people think they're getting a great deal. Sure, it's a cheap way of fertilizing your yard, but for your vegetable garden and your fruit trees, that mulch has every poisonous plant in Cayman. Remember, that hurricane was not discretional at all. They just wiped out, tackled everything. And if you put that around your vegetables or and around bearing fruit trees, that cannot be good for your health. I called the department. I called the department environment and told them, there's like, how am I to tell them how to do their job? And that is wrong. And I also went to Mr. Eubanks, the member of parliament. I went to his office and I told them, and they reassured me that they would bring it up. But I don't see no signs posted on these things, and I think it was on Mall Road a couple of days ago, where they're now inviting people to come and pick this up. But sure, people are not realizing the dangers of putting this, and most people not realizing it. But I had stage 4 throat cancer, and today is the first day for the rest of my life, and it's my civic duty to make sure that people stay healthy. We're always talking about, the chemicals, the MRCU has, sure, that has caused a lot of problems. That's why we're probably one of the largest, one of the countries in the world with the largest cancer of any place we know.
Well, certainly there's that perception that the incidence here is higher, but then do we even really know? But it seems to be that shared perception.
Yeah, Dwayne, it's ridiculous, to be given away this stuff and not advising people. They should advise, because black oleanders is one of the most poisonous plants. You get we call them trees, and casuarina trees. People call them willows, casuarina trees. You don't even see a plant around those trees, Yeah. You go to the beach and see if you can find them now, because everything went to account. But if you go, you never find any vegetation underneath there, because the plants are poisonous. And oleanders is the same thing. The milk is one of the most dangerous things, and unfortunately, the authorities need to put most of these signs or stop giving it away altogether. Last I heard, they were capping off Mount Trashmore. But I thought it would be important, because I don't like to air dirty laundry, but I felt it was my responsibility to bring this up today, because if you feel it's your civic duty and you're protecting people's health, then it after you run out of options, then it's time for somebody to be rolled over the coals for not doing their job.
But as you shared, I mean, it's important for people who know to share their view, right?
Yeah, I mean it might not affect people right at the moment, but even if you plant it around, you're going to put a lawn in, and and you get a lot of rain, that is going to spread. That after that turns into fertilizer, it's going to spread right through the whole yard. And then even if you didn't put it around your vegetables or your bearing fruit trees, what happened then? And it has to have some health problems in later years. Then we wonder what's caused all these problems.
Well, this could be then like one of those instances where we are inclined and the intent is to do something that we think is good, but maybe, as you shared, we didn't do sufficient planning and preparation. Maybe we didn't give it sufficient thought that the mulch itself could be, as you're alleging, have all these other trees, whether it's the oleanders or otherwise.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize it until I mean, stage 4 throat cancer. And my name is Dexter. I don't hide behind.
Right.
And I am so concerned about. I mean, I don't know how to worry about my health anymore, because I'm on the right road right now to recovery, and I never, thank God, I never had to go back after the 18th of March 2016. I never had to go back for any treatment. Everything that I went for my checkups, they were good.
Mm-hmm.
And now I try my best to do the right thing by eating the right things. A lot of people can't afford it. Most people, even if you can't afford it, don't want to buy it. And these are things that people that, like the Department of Environmental Health, they should realize. Somebody calls in, they're concerned about it. I don't want it to sound like an alarmist, but it's my responsibility and civic duty to let people know they should not be using this thing in the yard.
Right. Well, I think you're expressing a concern that maybe some of us were just totally oblivious to, without any malice, but just no consideration as to potentially, as you shared, what the consequence could be. Well, hopefully, now that we've done that, what is your solution and suggestion that we do with this stockpile? Because we have them in several.
The government or the Department of Environment they should not be giving that thing away.
Mm-hmm.
Again, because people are going to use it to fill in their yard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they got a little lot, they can't afford to buy topsoil or buy topsoil or moss. So they put this stuff in there thinking that sure you're getting a great deal initially, but in the long term, you are in for health problems.
Right. Well, as I listen to you, I'm thinking of the analogy of, sometimes the processed foods that we eat, we don't know what has been combined into that particular meat, for instance, or that other thing, all put together and ground up and then sent to us. And it may look appealing, it may be affordable, but what are the costs and consequences?
Right now I'm doing all of my little gardening right now, and I want to be able to live healthy. People go to the supermarket, Dwayne, and they buy organic food.
Mm-hmm.
Which organic foods are they talking about? The organic, I see ORGINANIX, organic. That word is what somebody puts in the computer and puts it on a box. If you go to, I went by Foster's yesterday, there was organic bananas. That comes out in the same field. All they just put a label or organic label on it.
I wonder sometimes, when we are looking at those things, to what extent we are insisting that there is not just truth in labeling and advertising, but there is
labeling and advertising.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I had when I was running my tours, I met a guy who studied. I can't remember the word for it, but anyway, he studied about farming and stuff, and he told me, he said the cost to do a proper survey and study on organic foods, they would be so expensive you couldn't afford it.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, why is that? He says you have to test the water, you have to test the soil, you'd have to put through so much tests. And he gave me an example. He said, Dexter, if a guy has 1,000 acres that he has never farmed before, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody else is farming around him. And over the years, all of that chemical that he's using, they're using in the four sides of him, leaches into his property. And when he's ready to farm now, and everybody's thinking, oh my God, this guy has organic food because he has never farmed before. That is worse because it's then concentrated in that property that he has never farmed.
Mm-hmm.
These are the things that people don't realize. It's all about labeling and packaging.
Mm-hmm. This is it. I mean, even now where we're looking at, even in our own backyards, for instance, to what extent the fertilizers or whatever it is that we use in the pesticides.
I don't use no fertilizer.
Mm-hmm.
I go at green. I go down by Papagallos. I pick up the seaweed there, come and spread it out, spray it with water, or when the rain comes, let the rain wash out the salt. I take all of my after the hurricane sprays. I took all my limbs and I have a wood chipper and would chip them like mangoes, the guava, and the moringa trees, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that I eat from, I would chip those.
Mm-hmm.
And like the grass, I don't use no chemicals in my grass. What I do, then so the seeds does not they do not
They germinate again.
yeah.
Okay.
What I do, I put it in a big plastic bag, tie it around, leave it in the sun, and the sun burns whatever out of the seed, so no weeds comes out of it. And I use my the leaves from the mangoes, the leaves, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and that is what I use for my fertilizer. And I don't use anything that you say the miracle grow and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how can it's environmentally friendly? You know, I don't use any newspapers or anything in my garden.
Yeah, well, you know what? Maybe we need to seriously reevaluate the demands we're putting on our environment and the impact that we're having, and perhaps the expectations. You know, we want a tree to be 50 feet yesterday, but we haven't not prepared to plant it until tomorrow. So, anyway, anything else you want to share with us, sir?
No, I hope people will realize what they're up against. If they want to go ahead and you know, use it for their garden, that's up to them. But the government has a responsibility, or a Department of Environmental Health has a responsibility to post sign, have it on the bulletin. This is not to be used for anything in the yard, because those plants is so much poison plant that is mixed in with that. And how do you know that is not this pressure treated lumber? Is it mixed in with those trees?
Well, this is where, as you said, I'm inclined to share that this is where we, as a community, need to strongly consider our level of responsibility and consideration. And for instance, even though we know that when the Department of Environmental Health was organizing and scheduling this particular activity, they had said to us as a public, you know, please only bring your yard clippings, your trees and the bush, as it were. Now, I don't think that I heard them say specifically no poisonous plants, but then
if all the plants are pulled up
right,
and put together,
right,
you after they're dry, you don't know which one is which.
Fair enough, I can see the challenge there. But even telling people, you know, don't bring any construction debris, don't bring any lumber, no appliances, no household garbage. We do know from reports, even from driving by the sites, that we've seen, despite that very public appeal, we've seen those sort of things. I even seen a few cars being placed near the sites and stripped.
Yeah, they're very healthy.
Well, you know what? We need aluminum, right?
Give me a hamburger made from the four Chevrolet.
Yes. All right. Well, I think this is where, as a people, we need to consider strongly what is it that we're wanting from our society, and what is it that and how we're impacting our society. But thanks very much, my friend. All right.
All right. Take care, man.
All the best to you. Stay safe. All right. Well, listen. Let's pause and take it for the final break, and when we come back, let's share something with you. Stay tuned.
Busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Each Tuesday and Thursday from 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m.
The Tuesday and Thursday edition of the Business Buzz is brought to you by Optical Outlook. Visit them at their new location in Anderson Square. Telephone 746-2020. Come see the difference with Optical Outlook.
Your Radio Cayman 6 p.m. news, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Logic. Your life connected.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back and thanks for joining us. We have time for one final call. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Oh, is it good?
Hey, my friend. How are you today, man?
I had the last one again, man.
Man, listen, we don't want to be disrespectful to anybody else, but we see the best for last, all right? How are you, man? How are you?
All right, man. Enjoying your better now, man. They're good and cool now.
Oh, man. That sounds like I should be somewhere. Yep. Glad to go.
Be on the beach, you know what I mean? Pina coladas, you know what I mean?
Man, I would just be happy to have. Yep, but you enjoy it, my friend. You enjoy it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, this is it. No, first of all, like I say again, like I bring it out again, I want my $6,000 for the month. I believe all of us kind of, what they say, but we're not entitled to, and I believe we're entitled to that. All the hard work we put and make the government, come true and say that they got this. They got this vision out to the world, say, oh, this is one pretty nice place with, they don't use no, or they is so, up to date in what they're doing in this big new world of technology. You know what I mean? When we're really nothing, we're really just back to the same as everywhere else as a third world country, and knowing how to just manipulate the system and having it benefit for those that donate, not for those that inspire or be admirable in the place in how they see things moving forward. Not despicable and evil in how to get things done. You understand? Like making sacrifices of hundreds for one person. You know what I mean? That is the mentality of some of these people around here. I want to ask you one question, Mr. Dwayne. What it is with all these military trucks I see going on here? You didn't see it or no? If you didn't see it, you can't answer me, but I seen all kind of military trucks in between now and Thursday. Yeah, today, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Well, isn't that part of the regiment? I just want to make sure that what you saw is not what it was.
No, it wasn't. It was it looked like one of them old school army. It's an army color, like say a brownish dirt color, 5-star. And it looked like the German kind of material.
Okay. And not somebody with their style, a fancy vehicle, because we have people with their particular style. They buy these vehicles and they make them look that way. So it wasn't anything like that.
No. It was somebody in an army suit. Somehow they looking like they were holding some type of identification.
Well, interesting. I mean, things are changing, you know. I mean, they just call us to the. Some callers talk about we fighting a war, you know. That this virus now is a war. So maybe that's part and parcel of it. I don't know.
Well, excuse me, Mr. Dwayne. When you got war, there's always a identification of who the enemy is.
Yeah.
If they playing slick and they don't know how to make us be aware of who the enemy is, then why we in a whole heap of mess. I just want to say thank you for all of them that bring out all those chemicals, you know, that I know have been going. And just because I'm a youngster, they would call me and say, "Oh, you're talking foolishness. You're on our internet. You're talking foolishness." But we hear the elders come out and say, "Yeah, they know exactly what's going on."
Yeah.
And yet, you know, from back when they were my age, they were probably cast out the same way as I am today. You understand?
Well, it's unfortunate that we ask people to think. We ask teachers to instruct their children so that they become critical, you know, learners. And yet, when even as a young child, you know, asks a question, we don't always encourage and embrace it. And then as an adult, when you do sort of advocate in a certain fashion, instead of being embraced and complimented, you may be ostracized and maligned. So it's interesting, no? It's interesting how things unfold.
Yeah, they talk about these man-made of iron on wooden ships, but you gotta remind them, you know, iron can rust, you know. Iron can rust, and if you get them heated enough and you throw them overboard, they'll pop. If they were made out of iron, they would pop. You understand? And then, you know what? They go on like this thing about iron. Iron can't break. Iron can move no matter what. Because you know what? I can guarantee you on every one of them ships, what they had man made out of iron, I can guarantee you they had a dress and a wig, you understand, made out of cotton and silk, you understand? And they had to try on the woman and the man were almost the same size. They would try on the dress, you understand? So ain't nothing about no made out of iron is some big you know, way of saying they were strong. They had to wear that dress and put on a show if they had become what they call it curvious. So I did want to come out and say it wasn't that. And plus, how much you can pay me to come leave my wife satisfaction to go on a boat on a bag a man to take orders from a man?
Yeah, man. Well, I
have a good day, Mr. Dwayne, before I get in trouble.
No, man. I thanks too, man. Sometimes you just got to be in the periphery. I know that we have, over the years, conducted different types of exercises, from the tabletop ones to the actual full scale. You know, from trying to replicate potential what would happen, you know, as we were to experience some sort of natural disaster or mishap. And I guess yesterday's emergency exercise was part and parcel of that planning and preparation to see how, you know, effective our responses would be. So, yeah, appreciate your input and your perspective. And to all the listeners, you know, it's going to be a beautiful, blessed place as we work together. Yesterday we had endeavored to play a song. I've been sort of tuned in and introduced to Callum Scott. Not from the BRAC, but could be. His music recently. We were playing, you know, You Are the Reason. Well, today we try biblical. See if you like it. Monday maybe Sam Cooke, but today is Callum Scott, biblical. Hope you like it.